here.
What?
Was it here,
That's better. And not like straight.
at the camera, right. I hope nobody's viewing this.
I know, right?
Oh.
Usually I don't think that. There were more
Okay,
bonds
we'll
on
call
the
to
table.
order the May 10th meeting of the Cold Spring Planning Board. Let's see, so correspondence, we had, let's see. No remarks. Next on the agenda, we'll make a change to the agenda. 104 Main has withdrawn their application.
Oh,
So we don't have an applicant tonight, so we'll just do the minutes, and then we'll talk about any board business that we might have. So approval of minutes, these are the minutes from the 412 meeting, which was the Rose Studio.
I have, one thing is my name does not have the S.
I apologize.
she's only one Meyer.
Yeah, and
The Myers is
And
the
Larry.
public.
Larry's
My last name, I was almost not gonna bring it up because I feel like I'm gonna bring it up every just because it's
S-H-A-H-A?
if there's an A, it's A before the B. Shihab, yeah, Shihab or A.
Not sure.
Could you just spell it for me?
Yes, I'll spell the whole thing. I've done this all my life. Don't worry. S-H-I-H-A-B.
S-H-I-A-B.
H-A-B. Yeah, exactly. And the rest is all correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's all we did. The meeting was just to review the attached
The-
resolution.
That we have approved the studio there,
Mhm.
and with some restrictions, conditions, which is good. I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's the right way to do it. It's not kind of past practice, but we wanna make sure that we're within the code. So we put the restrictions on just to make sure that it's not a residential structure, that it's not a short-term rental, that it's not,
Yeah,
that there's no ability to have it an occupied residence,
right.
even for the existing tenant, that they'd have to come back. And you can do two, I mean, the lot's large enough to have two family, but they have to get a site plan approval for that.
For another resident, yes. So it's good,
So could
for its purpose.
To have a motion to approve the minutes. So Sue, and seconded,
Seconded.
all in favor?
I,
I have to abstain because I wasn't present.
Yes.
Huh.
Okay, so we have no correspondence, we can move on to board business. I think we need some, if anybody has any time to maybe serve as like secretary to help with like minutes and the files, cause it used to be the old clerk, or Michael, do they have you doing filing at all?
No,
Okay,
in my previous tenure, I did some, but I'm
Yeah.
not able to do it now.
oh, okay, so that's what's going on. So we're actually not getting any filing, so it's just kind of all sitting in there.
And
Um,
what does that mean? We're not getting any filing,
It's-
meaning
Nobody's filing anything.
when
Putting them away. Into
nobody's putting anything away. It's just,
It used to be
Piling up
between
the
the village
filing
clerk,
pile?
between the village clerk
uh-huh.
and the board secretary, they would make
Right.
sure the files were always kept accurate. So when I would leave,
Yeah, there's file cabinets in that little small room.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
One drawer that says planning board, I
right,
believe.
right. So what would happen is, you'd leave a resolution like this for the clerk
Mm-hmm.
to record. They have to put the resolution number on it, they have to date stamp it, and then a copy goes to the building department.
Mm-hmm.
Copy goes in the file, and the copy is left for the applicant. But nobody, I don't think that's really,
That's not a function of the clerk.
it was, I'm not sure. So I think it used to be what was happening between the clerk and the board secretary, like
Mhm.
if, I'm completely blanking on her name.
Mary.
Mary,
Mary's.
No, not Mary, I know, the board secretary who works, still doing for the town.
Oh.
Oh God, why can't Linda? Right,
Linda.
Linda. So and so she, Linda would do most of it. If she missed anything, Mary kind of backfilled it.
Right,
But most of it was done by the board secretary.
okay.
So now it's just, I don't think anybody's filing anything. So it's all just we have the stuff, but it's all just kind of sitting there. So I think the first thing we should probably do as a board, and this can be kind of a takeaway, is just come up with a checklist.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Which is pretty straightforward. Obviously, we have a referral, right? A referral then, because obviously nothing comes here unless it's referred to us.
Mhm.
Then there's an application, right? The application should include an owner's affidavit,
Mhm.
right?
Who's recording this?
Oh, we're doing it right now? And does anybody have any time for this?
Well, is it something we can do after hours?
Oh, yeah, it's
I mean,
anytime, yeah.
I certainly can't do it during the day.
No, and
In the
it
middle
could be
of the
split
night.
up too, like if somebody could help with
Yeah.
minutes, because the communication with the applicants is very time consuming, and the attorney and the chair stuff. And then, and then kind of coordinating everything, so also doing the minutes, and then,
I can volunteer to do minutes if you want, if that's helpful, or to share that task, or however you wanna.
And then the resolutions need there's a special treatment for resolutions. I'm happy to engage in special treatment resolutions.
well, I mean, it's
They need to
basically
be,
just
like,
that.
stamped
the-
and
the-
recorded and
the-
filed with certain.
Yeah, so like
can
I
do
come in whenever, and then I just stamp
Mhm.
the plan sets, and then sign all the plan sets. You gotta do
Mhm.
3 sets at least, so you stamp I stamp every single drawing, I don't stamp just the top one.
Mhm.
And then I sign everyone just to make sure that the village has a copy of what was approved.
Mhm.
So that's the issue, is that then the village goes back to, somebody maybe isn't complying, the village goes back to the file, and the file's not complete, or the file's not even there.
Mhm.
So I think it's kind of gotten pretty lax as to creating the file.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure what the other boards are doing. I imagine some of them might be filling in, the ZBA is not very busy.
Right.
But we have quite a bit of stuff in there, so,
Okay. Do you know how long it's been? I mean, is it
Yeah,
since?
what is the period?
is it
Is it
since last-
a
is it-
year
is it
or?
when- last
could be,
year
yeah.
when Mary?
the good news is though, that we haven't done that, it is,
Yeah.
while it feels like a lot of work, it's not that many applicants,
Right,
so, but we may have to reconstruct it.
right. Okay.
But we probably should, I'll do that, I'll take the first piece and I'll go through all the agendas and make sure that we have the universe of what we should have a file for. Cause they can become very important, like Butterfield, like
Mhm.
these files obviously go back to and say, well, what was approved, the resolution becomes important. I was trying to do everything electronic, but it was just too, I was bringing a scanner with me every night, but it's just too much work. And then I used to work in the city, and I'm not working in this, where I had a large format plotter where I could do scans of the file, of the drawings too, and I don't go to that office anymore, so that's not practical.
Mhm.
So, I can't be the administrative support for,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I'm not sure I know that we've gone paperless, like the clerk, there's this big initiative to scan and to go paperless,
Mhm.
but I'm not even sure where that is, do you know? Have you looked at that at all?
Mhm.
I haven't either.
No, I'd
So,
say,
I know Mary had gotten a grant,
yeah.
and they'd started to digitize everything, so we should find out what's going on with that. I know that we're supposed to, be doing something with respect to like a index number or something, I don't know, I'll have to look at that from Jeff, so I'm not sure what's really going on with the imaging project.
Okay.
I doubt that it's being imaged, because it doesn't look like anything's being moved.
I don't think anything is being moved, but I thought that was a project that the village clerk, I mean,
It's the clerk,
it
yeah.
wasn't specific to Mary, I mean, it was the village clerk was
Who
doing
owned
that.
it, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay.
So, but then, like I said, the board secretary would then obviously kind of augment that,
Mhm.
and maybe would probably feed documents and like feed the process.
Mhm.
So we should just, I guess the first piece is us to come up with like a checklist,
Mhm.
that we could put on the inside of a file folder to just say,
For
so,
every applicant or every.
yeah, and then just,
Every-
Does that exist online? Like for people to know what their,
There'll be
What they
notices
need.
sending out.
well, the file, the checklist?
the checklist, or no, that's.
Not really, that'd
you're
be more
talking
for
about
us,
the check-
because
okay,
at the
for-
end of it, so,
Because it's about what the different, it's related to the different
Yeah.
approvals and, okay.
and we could just do it on Google Docs and just share the document and keep adding to it, because there are things like, there's like the, what is it, the 539 or whatever it's called? you know, the
Oh,
referral to the
right,
county,
right,
you know, whether or not
right.
within 500 feet, you know, yes or no.
Right,
Some of them may just be NAs,
right.
you know, the seeker application,
Mhm,
the
right.
seeker determination,
Mhm.
you know, the recorded resolution.
Do we have Wi-Fi in here yet?
Yeah.
We do?
Oh.
In,
You didn't know
no.
Yeah.
I did not know
that? It's
that.
really weak now, though. I don't know why.
Very.
I heard something was
When
up
did
with
the-
Cold Spring Wi-Fi today.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Optimum, I heard that in the library.
In public areas you have it?
Village-wide, I don't know,
Oh.
but it
Oh,
was
with
earlier.
Optimum?
Something, yeah, but I'm not sure if I'm
Maybe
accurate.
West Point was blitzing everything.
The Russians.
So what is
Must be
it?
them.
Our guest.
Hmm.
Our guest.
Mm.
Okay,
It's,
it is weak.
Mm.
yeah,
Very
it
few
didn't,
bars,
it didn't
okay.
used to be.
Huh.
Where do I have this under
One
the
word?
village? Yeah, Village Hall Wi-Fi. You ready for this?
Mhm.
Are we?
Uppercase
Yes,
guest is uppercase G,
yes.
and then it's 0F, uppercase V,
B,
lowercase c,
C.
uppercase S, 2,
Wow.
star, 1,
Star.
5.
That's a strong
Star is the
password.
Yeah.
Very
Ex-
strong.
the
Okay, good.
Asterisk?
extra,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Network now I need a security
Guest,
key. This is a
0.
security key. Guest,
Not O, I
Zero.
wrote like a O.
repeat, guest 0.
I think it's a 0, I don't think it's an
Oh.
O, because it looks too narrow to be a.
Guest
Right
0
back.
what?
Is it accurate?
Guest 0
Yep.
F. Is F capitalized or no?
No, lowercase.
It looks like off.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Guest of Village Cold
Village
Spring,
Cold Spring
2015.
X15 and 2
Two
star.
X, 2
2
star.
star.
2 star 15.
Yeah.
Guest.
Uh-oh, we've just recorded that.
I know.
Put it out of,
Yeah, put it out of there.
everybody's gonna be happy.
That's really good.
Edit out, edit.
That's really good.
Oh,
Very
Greg-
weak.
So Greg's not around editing the tapes anymore.
No, I think he's in
I do
Florida.
that.
You do that? Very
But
good.
I don't, I mean, I put them together and I post them, but I don't do anything except put a bump in
You don't make
front.
us look thinner? Younger?
I don't do makeup.
Exactly.
Aw.
No retouching, no airbrushing.
So we have the shared Google Drive.
Yeah, Sam, we
You
could,
wanna
we could think of just a
share
checklist, yeah.
Share, make a Google sheet, a Google Doc.
And then we'll kind of go and we'll just kind of reconstruct.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was asking for like 126 Main, because I had recorded the resolution, and when I asked for it, Jeff said, oh, it's in the it's in the building department's file, I didn't give you a copy. And obviously it's our resolution, so the building department should get a copy.
Yeah.
And the original should be in the file document, you know, so we should, maybe I'll order a a file copy stamp, just to
Okay.
make sure that it's clear that stuff's file copies.
Okay.
Cause this will eventually bite us in the butt when we want to enforce something, but yet we don't have the record for it, so then the applicant just,
We've seen
you know.
that happen before.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you will do something, put a.
I guess I'll send out a link to did I give you guys the planning board
I
shared
think
drive?
occasionally you've shared things,
Maybe.
yes.
Yeah, so I'll share that out, and we'll have just like a Google file,
Okay,
and you just go to a link and you'll see the documents,
okay,
and then maybe we'll start a checklist,
okay.
Okay.
and then after that, maybe we could just have we could see who's got some time to like come in. It's a lot easier during the week, well, it's obviously during the week because we don't have keys, the alarm code and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if anybody's around during the week, we could talk about who could like tackle it. It's not as bad as it sounds because
Mhm,
you know, it's
yeah.
not like we do a million applications.
Right.
You're talking about, you know, maybe 8 documents per file for probably 10 files, maybe,
Mhm.
maybe 12.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, it's,
Okay.
as much as we're here and meeting, it's not that many applications. There's
So
typically,
all those printouts of the the drawings, the whatever.
Yeah, and
the-
then if anybody wants to kind of, well, we can do this in email too, like who has time to like maybe be the liaison with Jeff? Because I think what may be necessary, is really just to be able to speak to Jeff during the day, and I'm not able to do that.
Mhm.
Although I may be soon though, because but not yet. Because I'm working the city, so I mean it's, you know, we have opposite lives. So, but if somebody could just like, because I think that he has an expanded role. When Mary was here, you know, Mary was the clerk, and Anne had been doing it forever and knew it forwards and backwards and was incredibly efficient. And Jeff's great, but Jeff's also doing some of the building department work still. He's doing the
Yeah.
referrals.
Yeah.
He's doing, you know, so I think that's taking extra time. But at the end of the day, I don't want us to do all the work that we do and then not really have a record for it, and then not be able to enforce things, you know?
Yep.
So,
So if it's physically putting it somewhere, we can team up, just say one
Yeah.
day, we'll just say, okay, let's get together and put
Yeah.
this in here.
and then also too, if Saturdays or Sundays work better for people, I mean, we could just make an appointment and we could just
Uh-huh.
open up.
Yeah,
but
if we concentrate
But
a
if
few
weekdays are
hours.
easier, like when the kids are in school or whatever, I mean,
Mhm.
I could do it.
you know, yeah, or like I said, I could open up and we could do like if we all wanted to do a blitz,
Mhm.
but that's probably not as convenient for most people, because you're giving up your weekends. Or we could do
I'm
nights.
flexible, actually.
Okay, well, let's think about it. So
Yeah.
we'll start with the checklist. We'll get a checklist developed, so I'll shoot out a document.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're good on the minutes for now, but you wanna shepherd
Oh.
minutes?
I'm happy to maybe, do you wanna do the minutes
Oh.
this time or I
Yeah,
can
I'll take care of it this time, and I'll get them to the clerk. Basically, all
I
it
can just
is
take notes
is,
next time and.
all it is, yeah, I mean, you're gonna, you know, obviously you're gonna, I would forward the, you know, the Word files that Michael prepares for us. And then obviously you're putting the A in your name, you're putting the S in Sue's name.
Yeah.
We're removing the S.
Removing
Removing the S.
Okay.
So basically, how does the minutes, you said Michael gets us a copy of?
He gets us the raw file, right, which is WordPerfect.
Okay.
And then you can just edit it.
And it's just about editing the existing.
Yeah, so
Okay.
basically, if you wanna take a pass before the meetings, that's great. If you don't have time, then we'll just do it all here.
Okay.
Cause you may catch things, immediately, or we may just do them here. So basically, just to be the keeper of the minutes, it shouldn't take more than maybe
I'm happy to do
10 minutes.
10 minutes, no pun intended.
Because really, the minutes are good, which is great,
Yeah.
and it's typically just some, you know, just some either clarifications or, you know, names or,
That's fine.
you know, so it's pretty quick, and then that way then we know it's done, and then you can shoot it back to me,
Okay,
and then I'll file it with the clerk
perfect, okay.
to make sure, because we're not getting the minutes up. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but we'll figure out what's going on with that too,
Okay,
just so we can get the minutes up.
Oh, the minutes
Meeting
aren't getting
minutes.
put up?
I think I noticed that too.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what, there
But
might,
it's not just the
it might be a
planning
link.
board, it's other
Probably
boards too.
everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's just kind of, I think it's just kind of.
Backlog or something.
Yeah, and I think it's just, you know, growing pain, you know, just the whole,
Digital.
and like I said, Jeff's got other responsibilities too.
Mhm.
He's kind of acting like not the building inspector, but in some ways code enforcement by doing all the intakes and then the referrals and then those applicants call in to talk about their application, to talk about their escrow, to talk about their, you know,
Hmm.
Yeah.
which I think Mary was doing a lot of that too, actually. Somehow Mary just made time.
She did, and
Somehow
Arnie
she,
came in and,
somehow she generated time, and obviously sometimes she was still here at like 7 at night, so that's how she was.
yeah.
So are we gonna start digitizing?
Well, that's what we should talk.
I
well,
think
let's,
what we
let's,
should do
let's,
is say like starting from now, let's do it,
Well, let's
back
talk. Well,
things,
let's talk to
yeah.
the village clerk, because
Yeah.
there's a grant and they have the equipment and they have the software,
Uh-huh.
and the whole idea is it's supposed to be digital, because then that way we can share the records with the town.
Uh-huh,
So, but I'm not sure where that is.
Okay.
okay.
So I'll reach out to Jeff to find out where that is.
Okay.
There was something, I'll go back to the original file about index numbers. I don't know, it's like that they wanted us to put.
Because the idea was also that the digital files would be searchable,
Yeah,
Mhm.
which is why every file will need a unique identifier.
Right.
Mhm.
Yep.
so, but I'm not quite sure how they actually tackled the work of that.
Mm.
Like some of it, I mean, we don't have wide format scanners, so I don't know what their plan is for, I don't even think we have anything, well, no, they could use the copier to scan 11 by 17,
Mhm.
but I don't know what they would do with drawings or,
Larger format,
you know.
Yeah.
Other boards are requesting electronic copies of drawings as well and cutting back on the number of,
Yeah,
Hard
we've
copy.
started that too,
so
you know,
that's,
to just,
so it
but the
wouldn't
thing
be,
is, at the end of the day, though, you really do want a 2-scale set
Mm-hmm.
with a physical stamp on it and a set of initials. I mean, you could do that digitally.
yeah,
The question is, you know, like when Save-A-Tree says, well, this building has been moved 20 feet, scale becomes everything, right? Where's the
Mhm.
building? So if the scale's off on the drawings
Mm-hmm.
and you can't quite tell, then we don't really have a good record. And in a village like this, that's a big site where 20 feet could matter, but everywhere else, you know, 2 inches could matter,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or 20 inches.
Yeah.
But maybe it's a matter of the digital files are not the ones that are stamped, so what's online or what's searchable is just the digital files
Yeah.
we've requested. as
Yeah, I
part
think
of
if
the
we
package.
stamp it and then they scan it, I think that's great, because you'll eventually figure out the scale. Like, as you know, I mean, okay, so the door, you know, to be 32 inches, right? You can find something on the drawing that you can dimension,
Yeah,
right? Even if the scale's off,
Right.
and hopefully you can get to something, and it's not going to be within a few inches. But I mean, like my garage is like 10 inches from the side yard, so I mean, if it's not to scale, you're not, you know, you're gonna have a hard time figuring out whether or not we did it right, and we did. We set markers in the neighbor's yard, 10 feet from here, as they dug it up, because I knew they'd just dig up the markers marking it.
Yeah, well, what do you do, your neighbors, our neighbors from upstairs, the other side, they dug a swimming pool of some sort. And their kids' toys, their pillows, it's along our side, just,
Uh,
So
We-
they fall down the hill into your yard?
or incidentally fall.
I've seen
Oh.
that,
We got balloons and pink
Yeah.
balls and, we had collected balls, bigger, this big, smaller, this
Mhm.
big, about 20 now.
Wow.
And when we came, now we're still picking up old Christmas trees, cushions, and so on and so
Alright.
forth. Yes,
Wow.
Yeah. Found objects.
I know, it's all ants holes now, because the cushion's there so long, and the
Mhm.
ants live there, you can't move it. We move it just like, you know,
A
gazillion
frenzy of ants.
ants, so it's really just,
Wow.
so.
Need an anteater.
The village fund that. Well, anyway, so there's all kinds
So
of.
if you're a
stuff.
liaison to the village clerk, you could be bringing these issues to him when you happen to come in. I want to talk to you about files, and while I'm
Oh,
here,
Well, I can talk to him, but I don't know where to start. I can say, okay, well, digitize.
let
Where's
me find
the-
out. Yeah, let me find out what the plan is.
Yeah.
It was very clear when Mary was here what the
Mhm.
intent was and what the game plan was. I don't know if that's changed. I
Yeah.
suspect it may have changed,
Okay.
but I'm not sure.
Possible.
But you need somebody during the day come knock on the door and say, hey Jeff, you know, this, where is it, or.
I think that may be what it is, because
Yeah.
I'm concerned that, you know, like, the signed resolution for 126, and Karen Parks is on top of her, you know,
Mhm.
her customers, and so she's looking for that. And I'm looking for our copy, and I can't find our copy, and our copy went into the building department file, which is not great, because I don't know where that's gonna go.
Mm.
Oh.
You know, so we wanna make sure that, you know, that the original goes back into the planning board file, and that copies are distributed to others. The applicant, obviously gets a copy, the
Mhm.
building department gets a copy, because they're not supposed to be issuing building permits until they have the signed resolution and the site plan.
Yeah,
So it may be good to just actually just have a face-to-face, like every so often, to say, hey,
yeah.
you know, these
I mean,
are, these are
I
our
can, I
files.
can do that if you say, all right, Sue, I
Yeah,
need
let me
this.
find out.
Yeah,
I'll
I
find
need this
out.
done, I can come over, knock on the door and talk to you.
Okay,
That's
that'd be
not a
great, that'd be
problem.
great, yeah, because really
But
it's,
you know, just case by case, don't say, oh, okay, if the filing, I say, okay, how about the filing? You say, okay, what about the filing?
well, I
Then-
think that's just it. If we get to a point where, so the process would be, if we get to a point where we know how the imaging works, right?
Mhm.
Maybe the checklist is, so, and we have, you know, let's call it a 12-item checklist.
Mhm.
And if you see these things checked off, but yet they're not imaged, or we're not checking them off and we don't know if they're in the file, or and maybe the checklist is for us, is that we know that it's been imaged, right?
Mm-hmm,
Because the image will help us as well, we don't have to go back to the paper files.
right,
So that could be, think about that, how we'd manage that, how we develop and manage that process too. It might be nice on our checklist to know what, if there's an imaging process in place, an imaging program in place, that then that's happening, right? That we know that the big things are really gonna be the resolution, the signed resolution and the signed site plan, right?
mm-hmm,
Because ultimately, if we go to enforce anything or they go to question anything, it's, obviously you want the seeker in there, but it's not, it's unlikely people are gonna go back to a seeker determination. But it's good to have it, we should have it. But the real critical things are, ultimately if we've approved something, that it's the signed resolution and the stamped and signed site plans.
mm-hmm.
Those are the things that we're really gonna go back to. And it is good to have, it's the one thing unfortunately it's good to have in paper.
Yeah.
But we may be able to get away from that, it's not the end of the world, I mean, you can figure out how to dimension them, even if they're scanned wrong.
I think it would be good to have a physical copy, as we were saying, you submit, the electrical file, but eventually we should have a physical
It
plan
is good because
somewhere, yeah.
ultimately, if you have a complicated development
Uh-huh,
that has, implications to it, it's good, it is the owner's representation of what they intend to build and what the planning board understood and approved at that time.
yeah,
So it's good to have that kind of moment in time, as Lara knows, working in design, there's progress sets, things,
Uh-huh.
and then from there are 5 million other iterations of
Yeah.
the set of
Mhm.
plans,
yeah,
right? But that's not what we approved, right? So ultimately, at the end of the day,
That's something that,
you can go ahead and change, partitioning, you can change a bunch of stuff.
Mhm.
Well, maybe not, if we're counting square footage, and you go and change the partitioning, we may need to look at it again, right?
Mhm.
If you increase the square footage,
mhm,
right, and we're looking at parking relative to square
Yeah.
footage, right? So it's a moment in time that we approve. Like even Judith was saying, well, do you want the plans for the studio once the HDRB has approved it? And I said, no, not at all. We want what we approved tonight.
mm,
I don't want, we're not talking about, we're not approving anything in the future that we haven't seen,
right,
So I said, we just wanted to have what we approved tonight. And ultimately, if the HDRB were to make, wholesale changes to that, then the resolution is void, right? Because that's not what we approved.
Right.
okay,
So what obviously we're trying to do is no different than version control, right? With drawings, is basically saying, this is the version that we approved.
mhm,
So is
So-
that where they are now? They're
HDRB, yeah.
HDRB?
Yeah, as far as I know. I don't know, I gotta
Okay.
remind her though, because we didn't get plans, we don't have those plans. So,
Oh, she hasn't provided.
but I'll
us
send
that.
her, maybe I'll
Steve.
send James.
Steve. Oh, James is the planner.
Is the architect, yeah.
Okay.
So I said 11 by 17 is fine, because we're doing so little on that one,
mhm.
I don't think we really need.
Okay, so, well, at one point, we need some physical, labor to put one thing into another, once we know what's going on.
Yeah.
Into the file cabinet, and those things once we know the time, I can help.
Okay, great, that'd be great.
And then if you say there's one thing you need to knock on the door, talk to Jeff, I can do that.
Okay, great.
That's,
Great.
because I am home most of the time. If
Okay.
I travel, if I leave for
That's
a
fine.
longer period, I'll let you know.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but, if.
Well, I mean, even if we get to it every so often, it's not something that has to be contemporaneous, it's
Yeah.
best, because then things don't go missing, but, if we just, I think we'll just have to, at least for now, we'll at least have to kind of backfill.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
what,
so that's why I think if we need one time, of
session,
some sort
yeah,
of
we
chunk
can
time, just say,
maybe
let's
put
do
in-
it,
Mhm.
to at least put it in sort of a shape, so starting from there, we're good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, today, here, tomorrow, and then 3 days later, you forgot something, and then
So
it's
the,
gonna be another thing.
Where are old planning board files kept? I know that are they downstairs? Is that where?
Yeah, the older stuff is downstairs, yeah.
Alright.
I don't think she's keeping them in a drawer, I don't know about that.
You have that
The
little
small room?
rolling cart for
Yeah, we have
current
the rolling
stuff.
cart, yeah, for like current stuff.
And then there's the green file cabinets in there,
In the small room?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
and then really old stuff.
And then when
is
those
down.
fill, they go downstairs.
Yeah.
Those fill and then they go downstairs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and luckily we're not all that busy. I mean, Butterfield's like, files are like,
Yeah, yeah.
boxes and boxes. But most of these files are just like, just regular sets.
Okay.
And that's another thing too, we probably have to go through and just remove all the duplicates and, there's no point in storing a bunch of duplicates.
Right, Okay, so that needs physical time, that's,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, that's at
Yeah.
one point, we said maybe we can get all together, just
Yeah,
like
So we're
like
doing-
operation line, just go, you check the,
that's true, it may make sense just to, if you
Yeah.
could.
Do it quickly, would it make sense to do it during, one of our scheduled meetings that there's no new business during?
We could, yeah.
We can
Or
do
could
that.
just do that
Yeah,
instead?
definitely.
it's
If
like
there's-
concentrate in
there's
2
nothing.
hours, we can do a lot, if
Yeah.
we have all
Yeah,
together,
it's good,
everybody
yeah, it's not
know-
huge, so so let's focus first on the checklist, I'll
Yeah.
figure out from Jeff where this, what's required is imaging, because if we're gonna touch all these things, that's the point to put whatever indexing we're supposed to be putting on these at the same time.
Mhm,
I'll get a file copy stamp,
mhm.
so we'll be ready for it, I already have the approval stamp.
And we'll wait
And,
for.
and then we'll be ready, and
Yeah.
then we'll figure out what, like I said, what this imaging program is,
Mhm.
or what the
Yeah,
process
if you
is.
need a time to talk to Jeff, give me,
Okay,
yeah.
alright, very good,
give me a holler
okay.
and then we'll-
Alright, I think that's a good start.
Okay, oh, another thing is I noticed, last time we were again, as the public, the Myers, I was sitting there going through the historical review board, and one lady, I don't remember her name, Carolyn.
Bashan?
Carolyn Bouchon on HDRB.
On the board, yeah.
Older lady.
She's
Carolyn.
a member of the
Yep.
HDRB.
Yes.
Yeah, Carolyn.
But there, we noticed there were at least 3 times she said either she did not receive it, or she cannot see it clearly, and so on. So apparently they submitted something either online or through email or something,
How was
but,
that then, maybe?
let's see, we attended,
It was the.
there
it
was
the
one
demolition
historical,
of
Yeah.
one
the
historical
little-
board, we were all here, planning and historicals together.
Right, yeah,
And
that was
then,
for 126
yeah, and then last 2 weeks ago, we were here. That's 20 Campbell, and then one at Fair Street, and so on. So we were
So
here.
she's not getting emails, or?
Sh-
Well,
she's-
it
she-
also happened, it's
Yeah.
also, those aren't the only ones that, I mean, I don't know what's going on
No,
there.
but it seems always she either says she did not receive it,
Mhm.
or she wasn't certain, or there are things she couldn't see clearly, or something like that. So I don't know if it's because it's just a e-file, or is it her way of reading the things or something, but apparently that is one thing. I don't know if it's just.
Yeah, those aren't coming from the village, those are coming
Yeah,
from the
those are-
applicant or the designer
Oh,
in.
okay.
Those aren't a
And-
system problem.
Okay,
and- Yeah,
It's-
and
it's just
she
a-
seemed to be the only one on the board that was having
Yeah.
that issue, so I'm
yeah,
not sure
but
what-
anyway, so there was one day she did not seem to be happy. She said, I did not receive it. I said, oh, yeah.
Oh my
So, no, but that's the ones
Uh-huh.
I attended. However, that's why my question is that
Yeah.
really?
It's not part of a village system
Oh,
thing.
okay.
I mean,
It's basically the applicant emailing the
Okay.
board,
and leaving off people or
Okay,
Or
not being
not.
able to spell somebody's name, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
sort of.
yeah, but she seems to be the one that's
Well,
not.
her name is difficult to spell, I don't know, I
Oh,
don't know, but
Okay,
she
anyway,
may be.
so
maybe
as long
not.
as it's not our problem, it's
No,
fine.
it's not ours.
All right,
Yeah, no,
I-
those are all individual
This is
applicants.
just something that I noticed.
Yep. Alright, so we have a,
Are we
no
good?
public, so there's no comment,
No public.
No public, no comment.
no? Alright,
Motion.
motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Enjoy the day.
Thank you, too.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So,